Welcome to Tapestry Feminine Collective podcast. Join us as we weave a new legacy of feminine leadership with voices from visionary women around the world. I'm your host, Arlia Hoffman. Welcome back to Tapestry Feminine Collective podcast. I'm Arlia Hoffman. I'm here with Jacqueline Robinson, and we have begun a conversation about sisterhood, the depth of our need for sisterhood, the challenges around creating that and experiencing that. And so if you didn't hear the first piece on what that looks like and creating some trust in that environment, go back and listen to that. Today, we're talking about creating the space for that type of connection to happen. That's a really sacred, tender space, which doesn't have to happen in the context of sacred practice. It can happen over your dinner table. But to really nurture that connection takes some intentional creation of how that happens. I know for me, when I was designing temples, it became this whole inner journey. I would get a download of a theme, and I'd create this journey through music and movement and deep connection with women, with themselves and with each other that would really lead them deeper into themselves. And that's just one way it can happen.
Hello, Arlia Hoffman.
Hi.
I first of all want to fully acknowledge having been in the space of women's temple practice that you've created. How beautifully you do this. This is definitely a gift of yours. And as we spoke about last time, my first entry into your world was women's temple practice. And what struck me that time and in the times that followed was how seen I felt, how welcome I was. All I had to do was say yes, make the decision, take the risk, because it still was risky to be, it's always risky to be in an intimate space of true communion, whatever that may be. And you have this beautiful, just innate feminine gift and magic, as you said, of seeing a theme and pulling it through and creating the energy, the music, the invitation, the ambiance, the sacredness, and then the practices that bring women together and deeper into ourselves. So that's part of what we're talking about in creating the space. And I'm going to evolve that into even last year when Tapestry first landed, first in my field. And then I think you were one of the first women I spoke to about it. So then it expanded into your field and the field of other women as we birthed Tapestry Feminine Collective. One of her foundations is community, is bringing women together, because we have been a bit fragmented in that way, without making it wrong, without saying we got it wrong, but simply saying it's time to come back together. And so creating the space, which I want to acknowledge women do on our own in our everyday life all the time. In this particular conversation, we're talking about creating the space to be in the company, in the pleasure, in the depth, in the creation, in the beauty, in the celebration, and in the deep practice and communion with and of other women. As Tapestry came into form last year, it's like here you and I are sitting, and we talked about in our earlier conversation, it's been 8 years and the evolution of where we've come from that one first baby, and it was baby, although it was big at the time, temple practice, and then leading women into temple practice, holding retreat experiences, evolving into offering things online and having conversations, and then Tapestry, where now you have this intentional, created, it's a business, but it's also a community intentionally. That's the in the world expression. It's an invitation. Hello, beautiful woman. We want to know you. Who are you? What are you about? How do you move in the world? What does it feel like to be in your vicinity, to have proximity to you? How do I expand and grow and deepen and open in your presence and in the company of a community of women? And so Tapestry this year, last year she was birthed. We held a virtual event that invited in women to present and share their wisdom, their experience, their magic, their teachings, their medicine. Gorgeous women. And the women who were in attendance were profoundly changed. Some of whom I've watched new businesses be birthed. I'm watching them flourish. I'm watching new communities and connections with other women happening. So we're watching this little baby seed of Tapestry that evolved into an online community. And this year, as we knew was coming down the road, Tapestry offers a full weekend. It's a retreat, but it's really not a retreat. It's an experience.
Yes.
And we've known that about Tapestry from the beginning. It is intended to be experiential in your senses.
And you almost can't describe what that experience is because it's unique every time, but it's also when you infuse it with that much intention and the energy that Tapestry was founded on. I'm still thinking about last year that the relationships that come from that, they just take on a life of their own. It is like a plant growing in that it grows roots and it grows branches and it becomes larger than anyone ever could have imagined.
Yes.
And that was just in our virtual experience last year. So I'm really intrigued by the possibility of women coming together in person for some very potent practices to what are we going to do? What
Well, I was just thinking that's the beauty of, first of all, that we're having this conversation now as we are contemplating and bringing together all the pieces of what we want to create for women coming together. What would we want to experience? How would we want it to be? This is not just come and have a retreat and relax and we'll take care of you. It's also not come and work out all your shit and get yourself clear. It's not come and be trained. It truly is come and experience yourself as a woman, first of all.
Absolutely.
And in the feminine, we connect to our world through the senses. So this in-person experience, number one, creating the space, is considering and bringing in multiple elements that immediately, when a woman arrives, and there are multiple meanings to that word I chose on purpose, when a woman arrives, she immediately feels this has been created for me. This is for me. And we know as women, when something is created for us, everything inside answers and responds and opens and magnifies. When it's an experience we desire, we come into communion with that energy. That alone, which that's not all there is, but that alone in a feminine system creates an exhale,
Yes.
creates a connection, creates a stillness partnered with a curiosity and an excitement.
And that's the point at which, when we can find that stillness, to be at rest, to be really fully in touch with ourselves, that's the place from which we really access our deepest power, our deepest abilities, our deepest competencies. It's all right here. And it requires that we create space for ourselves, or is created for us, in order to hear and
And
connect with our own self
feel.
and feel.
And feel. That's a big part of how we connect as women. We feel. And when we feel that oxytocin and all of that arousal, and I'm not talking sexual arousal, I'm talking pleasure,
Life
alive.
force.
Yes, absolutely. Our life force, which is what weaves into our leadership. That is essential, that we can feel ourselves, that we can be in the company and in the presence of other powerful women and still feel ourselves, our beauty, our power, our creativity, our richness, our love, our softness, maybe our quiet, because every woman is different, but that we can feel who we are.
Yes.
Comfortably in the presence of other women who also choose to feel who they are and be in and claim their own power.
Yes. And that type of experience comes when we intentionally create the space, a sacred space. It automatically says everything you are and whoever you are is sacred. So allow yourself to inhabit who you are and be all of who you are. And we really need that. I've told you before, when women come into temple and they really do get that sense of being more deep seated in themselves and in sacred space, and then they have whatever experience they have with themselves and with other women, they come out of it going, I didn't know how much I needed this. What this was missing, because we don't have a template for it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. That's what Tapestry is doing, is help recreate that template for women to come into themselves and this deeper rest and this deeper connection with other women, it's the key that helps us change the world and ourselves. Because, as you said, it's not going to come from us sitting around picking at our wounds. It's going to come from really nurturing all the beauty and the strength within us to be seen.
Yes, absolutely. And as you're speaking, that's the beauty of an intentionally created space. Is number one, you come in, you feel yourself just as we're talking. Here's what then is birthed out of that. When we have the stillness and the spaciousness, we can hear the deeper voice.
Yes.
We can then, that I find for myself, that's when the next thing drops in. Not because I'm watching it and I'm waiting for it and I'm checking to see if it's clean and clear and do I need to heal and is there trauma and blah, 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 but because I'm just getting still.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm amplifying that signal because there are other women around me doing the same.
Yeah.
And the reverberation of what comes back is that interior, as you say, strength, ability to hold ourselves, and then capacity to expand into the space.
Yes.
We're made for this.
And as you're talking, I'm reminded of the vibration that gets created from the group itself. And it elevates, amplifies the entire energy in the room. And that's what I find is the magic. That's why I ever attend or create temple, because it is pure magic when you get women together in a way that our minds really can't process. It happens in a completely different way. No.
There's no words for it either. And I heard it when I was speaking. I've seen it twice when you're speaking. The space that's created, and in the case of temple, it's a physical space. In the case of Tapestry last year, it was a virtual space. In the case of Tapestry this year, it's a very physical space so that we can touch, so that we can look in each other's eyes, like I talked about the first time I met you. And that space that is created, here again, we are women. When we create a meal, when we create a child, when we create a home, the meal, you can taste the love. The child has our cellular biology in that child. You can see the fruits of who we are and what we've created, how we are carrying on. In the terms of the physical space, you come in and you feel a living, breathing, enveloping energy that has its own signature. And then we come into it, and first we feel it, we receive it. And I keep hearing reverberate, like we become in relationship with it, almost like it has a heartbeat. We come in, our heartbeat begins to beat with it. Other women come in, more hearts beating, and you imagine that growing and growing and amplifying, and the impact that has, even if you go very micro, the impact that has internally, the impact that has on the group of women, but the impact that has in the space, the impact that has rippling out from the space, the impact when we go home, what we bring to our business, how we engage our partner, who we are with our children, everything now carries a different frequency because of what we have experienced and felt. And because of going all the way back to creating the space, because we said yes to enter the space. That is a big linchpin in the whole experience for women, is knowing when to say yes, even if it's tender or feels vulnerable or uncertain or a little wobbly. Understanding and claiming the yes to enter the space and become transformed and expanded and activated and changed.
It's saying yes to the unknown, but the unknown magic.
Yeah. Which we really love, even though parts of us might be like, oh no, I don't know what that'll be. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know my time, my dollar, my whatever. We love. And I think we are arid internally. I think there's a dryness. In not having had this communion in person with women in the ways that are organic to our beings. And we're hungry for it.
We are. We'll talk further about other aspects of this event, but check out the website, tapestryfemininecollective.com, for all the details on the Tapestry event coming up in November 2024. Thank you, Jacqueline. I will see you next time on the Tapestry Feminine Collective podcast. Thank you for joining us. Visit tapestryfemininecollective.com for more information about events and all our podcast episodes. We'll see you soon.